Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday and happy March. So let's see here. So I'm using this kind of template here for our instructional videos. So there's 4 parts to these. So part 1 is a review of a speech that we did, our first speech, Who Am I speech, and also a review of Module 3, Week 3. Okay, so a couple of things and kind of reminders. Remember to do 2 peer reviews. Um, I honestly forget what the due dates are on those or is on those. So um, I would recommend doing it anyway, even if it is past the due date, to get some credit for that. Be mindful of the things on Canvas that I have that are worth points. I don't mean to say ignore the things that aren't worth points, but please be mindful of submitting your work on time. And these peer reviews are important, especially for this particular speech, because it really helps you. It generates a culture for our class and helps us get to know one another better. And it's tough being in this asynchronous mode, where you do have live audience, and I'll remind everybody about that as well. But our class is also our audience, to speak of. So also another review, the narrowing topics practice. There were a couple hiccups, so that you can submit on any kind of file. I just opened it. I didn't restrict the file types for that. So again, some of you are getting caught up on some work. I will give some late credit for that. I think probably at the end of this coming week 4. Um, my I won't be as lenient at that point with late work. But at this point, do it to get some kind of credit. I would hate to see you fall too far behind. And one other item I don't have up here, I mentioned earlier, just a quick reminder, make sure you have a live audience. And I think I'll remind you of that again on this feedback sheet. So specifically for our Who Am I speeches, I'm going to go ahead and open up this document here. And I like to do this. You will notice on your speeches, some of you have some comments at certain times throughout. Connect allows me to put comments as I listen to your speech, which is really, really great. And then you'll also notice that I have either put in a rubric, a scoring rubric for your speech, as the end note in those notes in Connect. In some cases, I uploaded an actual document that is your scoring rubric. So just be mindful of that. But in addition to that, I like to do a general whole group feedback where I put some information on a Google Doc for me so that I know how to help everybody. So in some cases, some points may have been lost in rambling. Make sure you use any outlines that I provide for you. Those of you who did a really good job with this speech, I could tell used the outline. And that really helps you develop your points in a more deliberate, cohesive way. Also, if you change your inflection or change your rate or use deliberate pauses, this can also help your audience distinguish between your specific points. I always like to say 3 is key, three key points, but you want to guide your listeners through and make sure that those 3 points stand out. I think what I'm going to do from here on out, I'm going to post some practice slots on Connect. So everyone can practice recording their speeches before they do their final, because for this one, we had lots of kind of outtakes and people having trouble with Connect. That's kind of a side issue, but be mindful when you do the final speech, it is a once and go thing. You don't stop and start. And it's okay if you mess up right away, just keep the camera rolling and take a breath. Okay. Imagine me saying, audience ready, speaker whenever you are ready. That's what I say to my students when I teach them at the high school. It calms them down and they know they can take a breath and they can begin whenever they're ready. So if it happens, just do that. But we can't really have stopping and starting and then uploading different videos. So I'll post practice slots on Connect so that you can practice, get it all out of your system. So when you do the final, it's there, and I go through and watch them as if they're live and it's a class, and I'm listening to all your speeches. Consider using a note card to put your speaking notes on instead of using your phone or paper. Make sure to set up the camera and the audience so that your blocking is toward the camera. In other words, you're squared up toward the camera. It can be awkward otherwise. Again, live audience. 4 out of the 5 speeches are required to have a live audience. So that's you have to make sure that happens. Okay, so please be mindful of that. And let's go to part 2, clarifications and changes. Just to clarify, text readings, usually the way we roll in these modules, you have text chapters to read. And then I've posted on Canvas in the module a slideshow. You can review those slides and take notes as necessary. It's really just a supplemental to help you understand the key points in the chapters. And make sure you pay attention to any announcements I post on Canvas and any instructional videos like this one. Okay. And part 3, our Google Doc. Okay. So here are 2 things to this one. So I want you to, after this video or while you're watching this, go to the class Google Doc. At this point, I would say about half of you have been doing this and following along. I want the rest of you to join in because this helps create a classroom environment. And I can also make sure you're watching these videos. So you can find the class Google Doc on its own module in Canvas. And I'd like you to go to the doc and answer the question that I've posed there. And then what I'd also like you to do, I would like you, when you're watching this video, to email me what is odd or what took you by surprise when you saw me in this video, and what have you learned about me a little bit, perhaps. March happens to be my favorite month of the year. Okay, so part 4, an overview of our new module and new week. Okay, so looking forward into this week, we're going to be learning how to gather information, i.e. research, and finding different kinds of supporting materials for our up and coming speeches. The speeches that we will do from here on out will have research involved. How to organize your speech. We'll learn about organizing your speech and different methods of development or organizational structures, cause, effect, spatial, problem, solution, topical, bunch of different ways to organize your speech. Of course, you already know the basics now. Intro, body, conclusion, AGD, 3 is key, stick the landing. We're also going to learn how to create properly formatted works cited page. And there's an instructional video for that. That instructional video was for a different class, for an English 105 class, and it mentions a concept essay in that, but everything else applies. It's me 2 years ago, I think, doing an instructional video of how to properly format a works cited page. Because from here on out, you will be submitting a works cited page with your speeches. And we will also have another quiz, Chapter 7 quiz. Fear not, this one is not going to have the Proctor-enabled lockdown browser deal, I don't think. I'm going to check on that because I know that's been a little troublesome. But most of you were able to do that quiz, so I was happy about that. And finally, there will be a discussion board, discussion post for you to do in Module 4. So I didn't want to make this as long as it was, but it was great to see everybody in your speeches and put a face to the name. And I'm very excited to see how you all grow in your next speeches. Bye, everybody.